Hey guys, and welcome back to the shop. This week we've got a bit of a continuation. Now I know we've done the barbecue fork before, but I don't think I've ever done any of the other tools. So today we're going to do the barbecue spoon. And for this we're going to be using 1/2 inch by 3/16 flat bar, 18 inches long. So you've seen how we do the handles on these. It's pretty easy. We have a small jig that has an 1.25 inch piece in there to make the hook in the loop, and that's what we're going to do. Now for this piece though, as I've been talking about previously, we're actually going to make sure and break the factory finish on this. We don't want any portion of this not to have some sort of hammer mark on it. So the first thing we're going to do is heat up this end, hammer work it, and then make our hook. So right here into the fire, and we're good to go. So guys, while we're heating up, this is the jig that we use here. Again, this is a piece of 1.25 inch shafting with a stop here. We use this for all the ends on our tools. It's got a 1-inch shank and a scrap piece of 3/8 plate. It does not look pretty, but man, does this do the job we need it to do. Once we've got a good heat, I will come in, break these edges. Now, especially on some of this smaller steel, this is actually cut with a shear into strips. And what happens is it leaves a really bad edge. It's not like some of the stuff that's rolled. 3/16 is usually sheared, and it just leaves a really, really crappy edge. So we're going to beat the snot out of that. Make sure and keep her straight. There we go. And of course, I've lost my heat, so I'm going to go run back in real quick. And then what we'll do is we'll turn up about 1/4 inch, maybe 3/8 on this edge to be the catch, and then actually bend this around our jig. As we've continued getting more and more into how we do things here in the shop, let me tell you, jigs are terribly important. If you think that when you get your anvil and your pair of tongs and a hammer that you're really set with your tooling, oh, buddy, you are so wrong. As you mature as a blacksmith or as a craftsman, you're going to just acquire tons of tools. If you've ever been in a real blacksmith shop that's been around for any amount of time, there is just like scads of tongs and tools. Some of them you have no idea what they are used for because they were built for very specific purposes. And that's what's going to happen with what you do as you continue being a blacksmith. Plenty of good heat. We'll bend that catch over. Again, you want to keep that catch tight. You don't want it to be anything huge. Back it up a little bit, just like this. And now we're going to go to the Hardy tool over here. And you can see how the catch simply grabs in here. Now, as I'm bending it around, because this entire piece is hot, I need to hammer it to actually make it fold right. You just can't grab it and flip it around. It won't work right. So you can see that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it in backwards. I flipped it over. And so this allows me to now come in and center my hook. Just like that. Easy peasy. That's why this item is so handy. Otherwise, you'd be fighting on the horn of the anvil, and it just would not be good. So what we'll do now is take another heat. I want to dress this, and then we're going to put our twist in the handle. Corey, there is either sweat or spider on my neck. Now, we're going to see what the hell that was, because I don't want it to be bad, Corey, but there's about to be some ugly language. Holy crap. I don't know what that was, but that was bad. Did you see anything on my neck? Holy crap. All right, so now I am positive my editor is going to leave that in. So if I seem a little upset or a little unnerved, let me tell you what happens here in the shop. Now, when I didn't have a chance to be out here a lot, this place full of freaking spiders, okay? So I come in after a couple of weeks, I fire up, and the heat from the furnace goes up to the top of the rafters. And so I'm sitting there, and like some crap out of a nightmare, all of a sudden there's like special forces spiders coming down on threads because of the heat. And a big fat one just hits me. I mean, it feels like like hail, raining freaking spiders. So I'm a little sensitive when it comes to things tickling my neck when I'm working at the forge. It's not good at all. Here we go. And again, I'm not trying to kill this piece. I'm just trying to break that factory edge. You don't want to deform your piece. Like I said again, you just want to put some hammer marks up and down it. And there we go. Now what I'll do is I'll make myself a mark using the anvil as a measuring stick here. That's where I want to put my twist. So now we'll take a full heat here, and then we'll actually use the vise and the bending bar to actually put a full twist right there. Again, this is the same as the barbecue fork. All right, guys, here we go. I've got the heat where I want it. I go straight to our vise, find my mark. Bending bar goes on here, and we're going to do a complete rotation. Straighten it up. There she is. We're going to use the vise to actually straighten this guy up right here. And as you can see, there is our twist. And we are ready to go. All right. Now we're going to cool this. Continue to break these edges right here and draw this guy out. Now guys, used to, and according to Jay's book, you don't do anything to the front of this spoon. But as I have worked, I really like the look of that tapered shank. Again, it's these little tweaks that really make it look hand done. So what we're going to do now is not only are we going to go ahead and texture the rest of this piece, we're also going to pull a taper on that front end. So this is to make it look really good. So here we go. Again, just coming in, breaking those edges, and giving it just a little bit of hammer texture on this top side. Because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start down here with the forging. So back this out, looking good. Let's take one more heat. All right, guys, here we go. If you're using the 3/16, this is not a whole lot of metal to move. You won't kill yourself. Again, what you're looking to do is you're looking for that subtle taper. Now, the real trick of this is that the end is going to thicken up. You can see the difference between up here, and that's perfectly okay. Again, I'm looking for that gentle taper. And that's about there. You straighten her back up. Now the one thing I am going to do though, you can see how thick it is right here on the bottom. I am going to come in and flatten that out to help with the riveting process. So I'll take one more heat. And we'll be ready to go to part 2. Now after we get done with this next part, or this right here, what's going to happen is now we've got to make the bowl of our spoon. And that's going to require a little bit of sheet metal work and some swage work. And then of course we've got to go into the riveting process. This procedure here really falls in 2 categories: forging and then cold work. All right. What I'm doing is just making a thinner platform to rivet on. Want to make sure she's nice and straight. Damn, that's sexy. Okay. There we go. So guys, here you are. Here is the handle for your spoon. Of course, very much like the fork, but instead of slitting it down here, we've simply made a bulb to attach the spoon bowl to. So we'll cool this down, and now it's time to start working on the sheet metal bowl of the spoon. So guys, here what we have is a piece of 18 gauge sheet metal that's been cut out into a spoon-shaped object. Now, you can do this out of several different thicknesses. You can even go down to a 14 gauge if you like. You're going to be murdering yourself, and man, if you can tear up a 14 gauge spoon, you are serious hell on a spoon, let me tell you. 18 gauge, even some lighter stuff, is usually perfectly suitable for spoons of this nature. You can shear these out. If you're really in a bind, of course, you can use a metal cutting jigsaw. A Beverly shear is, of course, the graduate point of that, or a plasma torch. However you need to do it, this is a shape that you can use. Now, it doesn't have to be this shape. You can also make a ladle, which is going to be round, all of the above. So get your shape for your spoon bowl. Now, for this particular portion, I'm going to be using a swage block. There's no reason that you have to have a swage block to make a spoon. You can use the end of a stump. If you will actually take that stump and carve a little hollow out, it will provide you a form just like this swage block will. So don't get hung up that you can't do a spoon unless you have a swage block. It's not the case. You can do this at the end of a 2x4, which I have done, by the way. You can be creative with this, but I'm going to use a swage block. So, piece of sheet metal. Now, the one thing I will tell you is you are going to need a ball peen hammer. You're going to need something that's got a rounded surface, which is here. Now, this one is specially modified. This belonged to Jay Riekert, and what has happened here is that the pieces have been really rounded. This is what you would call a dishing hammer. It's got a very round surface so you can get down into all those curves and really take this from flat to spoon. So, let's check it out. This can be done hot. It will also eat your fingers. Most of the time, one of the reasons I prefer to try to use a thinner sheet metal is simply because you don't have to worry about using tongs to handle it. It's a little bit of a trick. Watch your fingers. You would not be the first one to pinch. So here's what's going to happen. When I'm going to start, I usually start in the middle. And a lot of times when you're dishing, when you start, you're going to basically work out from the center as you sink that middle. You see how close my thumb is to that hammer? Every time I hit, my butt clenches. Notice I'm not killing it. Now we're not quite there yet, but you can see how this spoon is starting to form. Now, for those of you that are interested in armor making, especially if you're in the SCA, a Scadian or whatnot, you're going to have to get really used to how this works and working from the center out. This is how you make armor as well. Now remember what's you're wanting to happen is you're looking just to push this down in here. When you bottom out, you don't want to swing hard because you don't want to compress that steel. You just want to push it into this form. Now, oftentimes, you're going to get this little rock and roll here, this little twist. That's no problem. But you can see we've got a good bowl shape here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to solve this twist issue just by going to the top of the anvil. Oh, got it, Timmy. We're going to swap our hammers up. And using the surface of the anvil as a flat, I'm just going to come in here. And again, using light taps, look at that. Now, she's not perfectly flat, but she is real close and more than suitable for what we're going to do with it. You've got a nice smooth bowl, and that looks like a spoon, ladies and gentlemen. So guys, here we are. We now have our handle here, and we have our spoon itself. And so what's got to happen now is we've got to attach these guys, which is going to require a riveting situation. Now, this is where you're going to need an 1/8 of an inch drill bit and some nails. If you go to the hardware store, basically you can ask them, I need any nail that has an 1/8 of an inch shank. A lot of times they're construction nails. These guys right here are actually coated sinkers. They have a glue, that's why they're kind of green. Doesn't matter. It's not going to affect you in the slightest. But we use a lot of these guys to put all of these pieces together. There's like nail clippings all over the shop. But what you're going to do is you're going to start by putting 3 holes in this piece. You're going to start by putting 3 holes here in your spoon, and then 1 hole here in your handle. So what's going to happen is they're going to be kind of in a triangle. You're going to line them up with that first piece. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here in just a moment. But the trick is you can't just drill 3 in here and 3 in here and have any hope of these things matching up. Just ain't going to happen. What you have to do is you have to align the first one and then drill through the second 2. I'll show you what I mean. Give me just a moment. Let me get this guy drilled up, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so here's what we have. You can see that the spoon has been drilled with 3 holes and the handle has only been drilled with 1. So what we'll do is we'll take our nail and the bottommost single hole goes through just like this. Same thing here. Come on, Trent, you've done this before. And for all you dirty-minded people out there, that's not what I meant. We come in, we take our nips, and you want to get about an 1/8 of an inch over the piece there. Now, I hate these particular nips. There you go. Watch your eyeballs, and there is your rivet for your first one. Now, here's where you're going to have to use another tool. And I'm actually going to make use of this guy right here, which is another one of our bending hardies. This is going to allow me to actually get to that rivet very easily. So now I'm going to put this in the hardy hole, and I'm going to rivet this first nail. See, she's in place. That just gives me a spot to do this. Because that spoon is rounded, you just can't put it on the surface of your table. So I'm going to come in. I'm not killing it. There's our first rivet. I'm going to tighten it up from this side. Now, what's going to happen is you can see that we've drilled these 2 holes. So now, because this one is aligned, I will now drill the next 2 holes through this back piece, which will guarantee the alignment. Now, if you don't want your rivets to overlap, like I said, you can always move them out a little bit. That's no problem at all. Jay used to overlap them, therefore it doesn't bother me that much. I say that much with my OCD. But now I'll drill through this and we'll finish riveting these guys, and easy peasy. Okay guys, we are back, and you can see that what's happened is we have now drilled both holes, and guess what? Now it's going to line up. I said it's going to line up whether it likes it or not. There we are. I come in with a pair of side cutters or lineman's pliers, which I can do a lot easier. I usually start my rivet with the flat just to kind of spread it a little bit. Now I don't get crazy cinching it down until I've got all of them in place. Another cut. If you get your rivet too long, it'll have a tendency to want to bend over, and that is not good. All right, I'll come right back down here, and now I'll get a little aggressive with putting those rivets on. Now, you can put the head on the front or the back. It does not matter. It's a personal choice. I kind of go both ways. Again, get your mind out of the gutter. But here's what you have, guys, is you've got this piece nice and riveted and ready to go. So, guys, here we go. Here is the completed spoon, but we're not quite done yet because that season finish was made for this guy right here. I mean, this is what we use it for. Almost all of our utensils have the season finish on it. So what I'll do here is start cooking this bad boy and apply that finish. All right, guys. After a little bit of time, some heat, and some flax oil, we actually have our finished spoon. Let's take a look at it. So there you are, that nice blackened finish on there. She's good and solid. Always check your rivets after heating it because they can loosen up a little bit. Sometimes you have to retighten them. But there you go. There is your spoon. So guys, I mean, this is how we do it in the shop, and this is a good looking spoon. The entire piece has got hammer texture to it. There's not any original factory edge to here. If somebody were looking to try to figure out if this was an original piece or not, they would have a tough time. This is an appropriate piece. So guys, again, I really hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, I love doing these things. I always love refining them. I love the finish on these pieces. So guys, again, hope you got a lot out of it. If you have any questions, I'm going to just hit on that just a little bit. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. You know I answer them. If you have any video requests, please leave them down there as well. Remember, we're growing as a channel. Like, subscribe, hit the subscribe thing on the, there's a button there that you need to hit that says subscribe, so that's what you need to do. But outside of that, guys, happy hammering. Glad you stopped by. Take care. Looks good. This will get your fingers. Ah, fuck! Ah! Ah! Shit! Why am I doing this?